And so Precigen are very much at an inflection point right now. You know, they have their first commercially viable approved FDA treatment, and they're about to announce their Q4 results for 2025. It will be the first indication of any revenue generated from the sales of Papzimeos. And so going back to Randall Kirk and his kind of strategy of making this fortune, which you can see is around 1.9 billion from Forbes, you know, my belief is that he won't sell Precigen until he's got real revenue data, real proof of concept, and has taken significant steps with the European Medicines Agency too. The European Medicines Agency has validated the marketing authorization application for Papzimeos for the treatment of adults with RRP, which is the first step toward potential approval in Europe. And so if we fast forward, you know, 8 months to a year from now, and we look at where Precigen could be with strong revenue results in the US for Papzimeos, combined with, you know, this development in Europe as well, where they would again have first mover advantage and would be the only solution for patients with RRP. This would present strong leverage for Randall Kirk in a negotiation where he could present all of the revenue data. He's demonstrated proof of commercialization in the US, and then he has this kind of opportunity, if you like, to dangle the carrot and say, look, you know, there's this huge opportunity for penetration of Papzimeos into the European market too. And I think that that would be something which would be a huge negotiation strategy for Randall Kirk and would be a great opportunity if there were an acquisition to take place. With strong revenue results, he would have demonstrated Papzimeos, which would be considered the standard of care in the US. And then there would be this opportunity to enter off the back of that into Europe. And there would be a huge opportunity to capture a large market share in Europe too. And so larger pharmaceuticals may be coming in at this time simply because the company is de-risked. You know, they have their first FDA approved treatment. They have proof of concept through the sales of Papzimeos in the US, and then this opportunity to expand into Europe and then potentially into other continents too. And so when we look at where the stock is trading right now, it really just is a hedge that you believe Precigen have the capacity to execute. And when we look at their team, you know, spearheaded by Randall Kirk, you know, Randall Kirk's pedigree and track record speaks for itself. They also have industry veteran Fred Hassan, who's world class. Fred Hassan, who sits on the board of directors of Precigen. Mr. Hassan is one of the leading figures in global healthcare. He served most recently as chairman and CEO of Schering-Plough Corporation until its merger with Merck & Co. He led a 6-year transformation of Schering-Plough from a company under severe distress into one of the highest performing companies in the research-based global pharmaceutical industry with a rich late-stage pipeline. Previously, Mr. Hassan was chairman and CEO of Pharmacia Corporation, where he also executed a historic turnaround. And then there is Phil Tennant, who is the Chief Commercial Officer, and Phil Tennant is leading the commercial execution and the go-to-market strategy for Papzimeos. We can see from his LinkedIn he held similar positions at Asteas, and before that he served 7 years at Bristol Myers Squibb. For both of these roles, his focus was on the commercial side, bringing BMS, Bristol Myers Squibb, Opdivo, one of the world's largest cancer meds, and Xtandi, Asteas' big-selling prostate cancer drug. Before Bristol Myers Squibb, Tennant was at AstraZeneca working in marketing and its neuroscience business unit. And if we take a quick look on his LinkedIn page, we can see he spent 5 years at Asteas, including as Senior Vice President, Global Head of Oncology Marketing, over 7 years at Bristol Myers Squibb, including roles in business, commercial strategy and operations, and over 12 years at AstraZeneca, where he held roles in business, commerce and marketing. And so the appointment of Phil Tennant as Chief Commercial Officer at Precigen is reminiscent of Randall Kirk's practice of bringing in strong leadership in order to help him to navigate the commercial execution of new treatments onto the market. And so when we look at the share price right now, when we look at the kind of status of where Precigen are at the moment, and on top of that, with this kind of strong, highly experienced, world-class leadership team, Precigen put themselves in a strong position for the execution of this strategy, and then an even stronger position for a potential acquisition in the future, which could come, you know, within about a year or so. It's important to know that Merck hold 5.84% of Precigen, which we can see on Simply Wall Street right here. And with this in mind, they could be the ones on the top of the list if they did want to acquire Precigen. And so with all of this in mind, and looking at the share price and where it is today, it does seem like a very reasonable price to come in on this stock with view of all the information that we've explored over the last few videos and the potential of where Precigen could be within the next 8 months to a year.